Do you want to communicate with power, clarity, get the buy-in of your stakeholders, and reduce resistance in a room? In other words, do you want to know what some of the best communicators, leaders, and presenters do and don't with their powerful body language, the use of their voice, and choice of word? All right, this is the aim of this short video. If you're watching this, it's because most likely you were in one of my presentations or courses. Welcome, absolutely. My name is Gabriela Mueller Mendoza. And if you haven't already with one of my training sessions, you know that it's all about really putting things and tactics into practice so that you gain the results that you want. And sometimes it's about the small change that is going to create and magnify an impact in your career, in your results, in those outcomes in the meetings, whether you are interacting with people in person or maybe only in a 4 by 3 centimeter thumbnail window online. Because here's the truth, whether you are in person, in hybrid or remote, you are still expected to be able to inspire people's hearts, to open their minds, and to get the buy-in to produce better business results for you and your organization. So presentation skills in some of those skills that are going to pay off for the rest of your career, regardless of where you are in your seniority path at this point. I travel around the world now today in over 80 countries. I mostly work with pharma companies, technology companies, sports, elite sports around the world, and many other industries that create real impact in the world. So when it comes to communication skills, I know what I'm talking about in terms of what works and what doesn't work, and I want to save you some time getting there. Do connect in any of the options on social media, wherever you prefer to get either connected with your network and news. For specific professionals, I do advise to work thoroughly on your LinkedIn profile. Remember your LinkedIn profile, and please invite me to connect or follow me on the quality content that I love to share, is yours. Remember, your career is yours, even though jobs belong to companies. Your career belongs to you, and your LinkedIn profile is one of those tools you want to absolutely have at hand in a sharp way. All right, when it comes to communications, forget about the fact that it's not only about the information, that traditionally a lot of people think that it's only about how clear the information is. No, we know better than this because now we have enough research and data to know that there are three parts. The traditional Aristotle model continues to be current, even in a hybrid and remote world. It's logos, ethos, and pathos, right? Yes, three elements to persuade your audience to get from no to yes with your stakeholders, and you need to bring the three of them in your own authentic, smart, and strategic way, though you can afford to sell an idea, a product, or a service today that doesn't express with these ingredients. Okay, number one is evidence, your facts, your logos, and that is absolutely essential. You need to have at some point numbers, data, an Excel sheet. But please don't overwhelm your audiences. Do not overwhelm your stakeholders with a lot of this, because this doesn't open minds or hearts. The combination of the other two, the credibility that you have in the room, the authority that you excel in the room, is called the ethos. It's everything from your virtual presence online all the way to your in-person experience, executive presence, the energy that you bring in the room as you walk in or as you then take those minutes online. Everything talks about how much of an expert you are, how much you trust yourself, and therefore how much they can trust you. Emotions is the emotional appeal that you bring to the game. And yes, make no mistake, while a lot of people would say they cognitively only make decisions based on information, no. Now we know that it's about the gut feeling, the credibility that you excel, how much they decide that you earn their trust, and whether or not you meet the magic combination of competence and likability. And therefore, they will decide how they treat you. When it comes to presentations and meetings, guess what? You have about 30 to 60 seconds to establish your credibility in two main aspects. One is competence. That is, competence is as you are solid, you can deliver the job, you are there to add value, you know your stuff, right? And there is a lot of competence in the corporate world, make no mistake. The problem is that sometimes it's lacking the other part, which is the likability factor, the approachability, your human skills factor. We need both. These two types of currency, we're going to call them the competence currency, and the other one is kind of the relational currency, is that they're both elements you need in your career to deliver a project, to sell an idea, to get the buy-in, and people want both. Yes, there are only very, very few occasions where there is in crisis mode, would only people then choose people who are competent. Other than that, in normal business, as you and I, we want and we need to bring both, right, to the game. So in the first minute or so, make sure that you do bring some of these elements, and I'm going to reveal some of the very, very basic guidelines, because guess what? This is not just a human trait that you have as you were born, but it's also a skill. As a skill, you develop it. So you develop it by exercising powerful body language. Why? Because now we know that overall the impact in communication is about 60%, everything you do head to toes, right? Everything from your posture, your outfit, your speed as you move, the way you carry yourself, together with about 30% of the voice qualities, tone, pitch, volume, speed, even your accent. And we all have accents, even if you are a native English speaker. So think about everything that you bring together. And sometimes when the visuals are not there, let's say, for example, you don't turn on your camera or you are only on the phone, this is what people are experiencing, right? And they make a snapshot of who you are, competence and likability factors, and then this is how they treat you. And finally, somewhere around 10% of the importance of words. And when I present this to people who heavily rely on information, they might be a bit skeptical, though I am here to say that there are many, many ideas that have died. That even though they're great ideas, they have died when the communicator has failed to bring together the elements of competence, likability in this mix of a powerful body language and the use of meaningful voice variation and security in your voice. All right, very good. Let's start with only a few pointers about the nonverbal that when you do that, they create a perception of either low competence. And remember, this is a perception game. It's not that you are, except that when you do any of this, your audience, your stakeholders may start doubting what you say simply because of the way you are expressing it. So a couple of don'ts: shifting of the weight, slump body, wringing of the hands, the constant move of a part of your body, which oftentimes is either your hands or your head that can't stop moving. Winning hesitant giggly tone, too smiley when it's not a moment to smile, can actually trigger skepticism in the room. Your head tilt as you speak, you want to eliminate that. And of course, you want to do this when you are listening to people. That is pretty normal. The problem is that when you express your main key idea and you do it from here, watch out for that. Close and secure postures, whether you are in the room, in person, or online. Even though this might be very comfortable, it doesn't send the right openness idea, right? A weak handshake, if this applies, if and when. Fidgeting, anything that that could prevent your audience from knowing that you are really confident about what you're saying. Avoid eye contact, close protective postures. And remember, the eye contact online, I may have mentioned this in our session. It's key that you look at the lens of the camera. This is me looking at the screen. This is me looking at the lens of the camera. You see the difference between being connected or disconnected, and that breeds trust online. Your main guidelines about powerful body language. Let's just say that I'm going to mention 5, right? So you take note, pick the one that you're going to work on. I don't want you to be overwhelmed after this short video, though there are 5 things that I want you to remember. When you gesture, whether it's in person or online, gesture with your fingers together. And because I have good lighting, you will notice also that my fingers and the resolution on the screen doesn't fade away as I do this, right? And the reason is because good lighting solves this problem. So you want to have at least 1 or 2 sources of good light, really making sure that your facial expressions and your body language come alive online. All right, so number 1, fingers together. Why? Because when you do the opposite, it can send a different signal and compete with your language, with your message. So what you want to do is simply that. We have a very exciting project. Do you want to be part of it? You see that? Clear. Okay, number 2, watch out for those elbows. The more constrained you are, your elbows are together and they don't give you the space that you need to express your idea. So if I say that something is increasing, is not very likely, this is better. So your elbows are away from your body. That's rule number 2. High, low. Notice as I move around my hands from right to left. Why? Because people read from left to right, and online the rule applies as well. Notice this, my elbows are not here. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. So relax, your elbows are away from your body. This translates also into a signal of message of self-confidence. Because if you are a speaker online or in person, are you able to do that instead of this? This translates into a perception of confidence. And by the way, this is number 3. You do only once, hold it until you're done and down. Therefore, powerful people take up time and space. One of the rules that I mentioned in my sessions. Remember, powerful. And this is you taking up space, taking your time to send a signal of confidence, an idea, and then come back. All right? Very good. So that's rule number 3. You slow motion and only once. You don't want to do this repetitive mode all the time. It's only once. There you go. You are done. There you go. And it goes back again. Your hands don't rest here. Your hands rest here. This is the neutral stance, right? By the way, you notice that online I'm standing. If you have a high stakeholder presentation, if you're pitching an idea, you're negotiating something that is so important that you have that energy, that you bring your personality authentic alive, you may want to consider standing and make sure that your camera is eye level and arm length. Okay, rule number 4, when you gesture, your gestures ideally have to do with the idea that you are expressing, right? You want to avoid these repetitive moves that mean nothing and you use them for everything and anything. They're just becoming noise and they distract your audience. So you don't need many, you do need about 10 to 12. I'll give you some examples, right? We have a problem and here is a solution. So it's simple, right? You could also have a problem here, right? Very good. One gesture can serve many things. This could be, for example, a list of deliverables, but this could also be something that slowly decreases, like the level of complaints. Or maybe this could also mean a document that has terms and conditions and is signed. This could also be a to-do list, a framework. Do you notice that? Okay, very good. This could be many things: negotiate, exchange, communicate. There you go. Change, transformation, always to the left. It's a little bit of that future is here, past, present, future. Do you notice that? Because you're reading it from the other side. And there are only few languages that are exceptions, like Arabic or Hebrew. For the most part, is past, present, future. Boxes, ideas, for example, 1, 2, 3. Do you notice that? Okay, very good. List, don't ever list towards the camera or to your audience is here. It doesn't really matter. You know, this is very cultural. A lot of people ask me 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're clearly holding it, you're done, you're 2, you're 3, third idea. Okay, very good. So think about that. Time, something that is very concrete and powerful, could use a very abstract but very sharp gesture like the project, the team, the budget. Do you notice that? Okay, very good. Anything that comes from your head is an idea, a suggestion. When you talk about yourself, this could be introducing yourself, as you saw me doing it at the very beginning of the video. And it could also be very good to speak about your opinion or expertise. Also, any emotional appeal. All right, very good. And lastly, the number 5, you want to be cross-culturally savvy and intelligent. That means if there is any questionable thing in your body language or the choice of words or anything that you do in front of your stakeholders who are now very cross-cultural, you want to first double check, right? You might use something like the cultural map from Harvard to check on that. You can also use the Hofstede approach. You can just Google it, Hofstede, and you can also make sure that you simply check the use of humor, the use of body language that might be questionable because maybe in your area or your culture, this might be very acceptable. And remember, you're today online and in person, you're dealing with a very global audience. And lastly, a little bonus. You may have noticed that I do this all the time. Showing poems to your audience is always cross-culturally around the world going to be very effective. It's kind of a sign of transparency, confidence, is a peace offering, clarity, welcome, right? So you don't have anything to hide. So therefore, it's also another way you're telling your audience, yes, we're here to connect and you can trust me. All right, very good. So use any of these. Please do not overuse any of this. I always say this, don't do this all the time. Just do this consciously. Pick the one that applies to you. Once you get good at it, pick then the next one. Don't get overwhelmed with trying to implement all of this at once, please. All right. I do want to leave you with one message here. It's always about the why of the audience. As you are there, if you are nervous, my last tip for you is don't focus on yourself. The moment you focus on the me, myself, and I, what are they going to think about me? How sharp they think that I am? Are they going to think that I'm smart or competent all the time? If you are having this inner critic conversation with yourself as you are on stage, you will not be there to fulfill what the role is. You are there to add value, to tell them something that they need to make their life and business better. This is the focus. The moment you turn from me to them, that's the moment where you're going to start flowing in a more authentic way without getting too worried about your own reputation. You are there to add value. So I'm going to invite you to make sure that you choose the ones that you want to work on, the aspect to work on, the action you will take, and when are you going to do it in meetings? Are you going to now consciously do it more and more in your Monday meetings or your hybrid meetings on Wednesdays? Pick the day, be specific, and then pick the opportunities where you are going to be checking your progress, right? If you need more advice, please make sure we follow each other online. The Future Ready Academy is coming 2022, 2023 with a lot of online options so that you get better results more often with less trouble. I, Gabriela Mueller Mendoza, as your coach, I wish you the best of the experiences. I wish you success in your next presentation. Make sure that you are there always to add value to your audience. Connect in any of these channels. All right, go for your boldest goals. I want you to get better results more often with less trouble. Let's go.